Okay, so I want to know, what was Tina Knowles's? How does she? What was her role in the rise of Destiny's Child? You know something? She handled their. She handled their finances and their contracts. Um, I see. Okay, so the way that they're showing it to me is that Matthew Knowles was primarily responsible for their fiscal success, but Tina Knowles helped to make sure that things were organized, structured, people got paid on time. Here's your money for this. Here's your payment for this. Here are your clothes. Tina Knowles was the person that did the thing. So Matthew Knowles was the CFO. Tina Knowles was the CEO. She made sure that the CEO, the COO. I'm sorry, she was a COO. She made sure that everything operated smoothly, especially when it came down to the dance routines and the performances. She was very critical of them, trying to make sure that everything was perfected, because she was always like, these people are going to be paying you money. Make sure that you're doing it right. Make sure you're doing that right. Make sure you're doing it right. No, you got to, make sure that you know that you got to hit that 8 count the right way. That's how I hear it. But she wanted to be more. She wanted to be more involved in them, in their financial dealings. But I get that she wasn't literate. Like, Tina Knowles is not. I get that Tina Knowles is like functionally literate. Like, she can read, but she's not well versed. Like, you couldn't hand at that time you couldn't hand her a contract and expect her to critique it like a lawyer, like an attorney would. She did magical work to make sure that they dominated, though. She kept them in prayer. She burned her candles. She was leaving her offerings. But these were things that she did in her spare time. But I get mainly her main weapon was prayer, praying for their success. Whoops. Oh, that card fell. 1 second. She was also responsible for helping them to celebrate. Like, the idea of a world tour. If there was a Destiny's Child world tour, it was her idea. She was the person that was. It was her idea, or it was originally her idea. She's like, they need a world tour. I believe that they are ready for that. A lot of positive cards here. She made sure that, and also their accommodations, like, just being like, I get this matriarchal energy, making sure that she treated them like they were her daughters. Make sure that everybody's, is taken care of. Here's your money for this. This is how you're gonna live. This is what you're gonna lay in. You're gonna lay in some. This is what you need to be dressed in. You can't. She tried to make sure that they had expensive tastes. Even if their budget didn't allow for it, she made sure that she made sure that they only received the best material goods, and she made sure that they were dressed in the best fabrics of clothing. She made sure that they didn't. She was all in their business. Like, even when it came to like relationships, she didn't want. I don't know why I'm getting boy groups. I'm seeing these different boy groups. Boy groups and tour buses. So for her, she made sure that the relationships that they had didn't get out of hand. She would have let them have a little bit of fun with these other boy bands, but not to the degree that their names were getting passed around in the industry. So she was responsible for helping them to keep a clean image about themselves. All right. Okay, and that card fell. Okay. So now I want to know, how is she as a mother? The cards are saying that she was the cards are saying that her relationship with her children deepened in a more deepened on a on a positive level. Like they bonded more harmoniously with one another when she divorced. It's I'm getting this energy that Tina Knowles would acquiesce to the demands of her husband. And she would side with her husband on things, or at least remain silent, because she was taught that her voice was not as important as the commands of her husband. I get that. I also get that she was very robotic in her, like, how she cared for her children. 8 o'clock we do this, 9 o'clock I do this. I go I kiss them on the cheek, kiss them on the head. She's was very by the book. She had a system, and she was not spontaneous with her mothering. And I get that, she didn't have it in her to be nurturing at the time when she was married. She was always reeling from heartbreak and trying to and keeping a very stiff face throughout it all. Always trying to reconcile and negotiating with her children. That's another thing that I see. She didn't really scold them, and she wouldn't make demands of them. She would, unless they crossed the line. She had a few rules that they couldn't break, but she was always negotiating with her children. I also get that I get that with Solange, she and Solange are not as compatible as she and Beyonce. I get that is because Solange reminds Tina Knowles a lot of Matthew Knowles. Solange and Matthew Knowles have very similar energy to one another. And Tina Knowles doesn't exactly understand Solange. She doesn't understand Solange she appreciates Solange's mind, but she doesn't quite understand Solange's personal choices. And she doesn't understand that Solange marches to the beat of her own drum. And there's definitely a chemistry that's off with them. They are not complementary to one another. But Tina Knowles, again, she has an energy that is always trying to compromise. So that keeps the heat down between she and Solange. Let me make sure that this card is turned the right way. Anything else that we need to know about her as a mother? She loves being a grandmother. She absolutely loves being a grandmother, but I don't think that she loved it as much as she needed to until Beyonce had children. I think that it clicked for her on an even deeper level when Beyonce had children. But I get that Solange, I get that she's very, very close to Solange's son. I get that she and Solange's son are the best of friends. And I get that Tina Knowles she's not someone like she definitely believes in her children having free will and freedom. But she has rules and boundaries. It's just that her rules are relaxed and her boundaries are expansive. So she wasn't a stickler mom. She's kind of cool. and hip, but at the same time, she's very passive as well. Okay, so as of now, what's her relationship like with Matthew Knowles? Um, they don't have a relationship. They don't talk to each other. Um, he doesn't want to talk to her. He doesn't want to talk to her. He only wants to talk to his children. They fight over the attention of their children because they feel like he feels like Tina Knowles feels as though she couldn't develop a relationship with her daughters as closely as she wanted to, like a sister. She feels like he interrupted them building a sisterhood with one another. And he feels like she's turned her daughters against him. And though his daughters have forgiven him, they don't. Tina Knowles and Matthew Knowles don't have a relationship. And honestly, Tina Knowles' ancestors have pretty much dusted their hands with Matthew Knowles. They're kind of like, we're done with him. They don't care if they have a relationship. Tina Knowles was also pregnant with another child by Matthew. They had a third child that didn't and it didn't that third child didn't live. I get that this third child like I get that there's a bitterness about that. Like Tina Knowles wanted 3 children and Matthew Knowles wasn't aggressively trying to have children with Tina. And I get that, like in the early 2000s is when she lost a child, and I get that she's still angry about that. Like, how could you give her something that you were supposed to do for me? You promised that to me, and you never gave me that. So now, I'm sitting here. I could have had another child. She loves children. She loves young children. And she wanted to have the child because Matthew's eyes were wandering. I get that there's just a lot of bitterness there about that. Matthew Knowles has actually tried to make it. He's actually kind of sort of hinted at rekindling things with Tina at one point in time, and he's kind of sort of tried to make an advance, a physical advance towards her. But this was when she was engaged. I get when she was engaged to be married. He was trying to test her. But I just see a lot of I don't see communication between the two of them. And I get that the communication has been this way since like 2015, 2014, 2015. Give me 1 second. I want to shuffle my tarot. Okay, so anything else about Tina Knowles and Matthew's relationship with each other? Okay, they settled. Tina Knowles got her money. She made sure that she got when they divorced with one another, she just wanted her money. She was like, I want my name, and I want my share of the money. and they ended things amicably. She promised it was, and this is the thing. Tina Knowles was threatening that she would either get her money through a divorce settlement, or she would get her money by telling her story to the news, and this would have put Matthew Knowles in an even more terrible predicament as far as like his public embarrassment. It's like he's kind of like I get that Beyonce and Solange fired him, and that Tina Knowles was also, that was like the end of his ability to continue to make money. And I get that Tina Knowles was saying that she was either going to settle from the divorce, or she was going to capitalize off of the divorce and make things public. And she was not afraid, and I'm hearing that she wasn't afraid to do that because she had felt that she had already suffered a lot of embarrassment, and it was an empty threat. I don't know if she would have actually have done it, but she definitely had this, well, try me and see type of attitude. That pregnancy is like that. I think that's always going to burn her. And I'm not sure, something, I'm not sure if it was a miscarriage or if it was an abortion. But I'm going to, let's see, did she abort? The cars are saying that Tina Knowles. The cars are pretty much saying that Tina Knowles didn't care. She had a baby. She didn't carry it to full term. Now, as far as this truce card, I guess they're gonna give me a little bit of info about it. Matthew Knowles didn't want to have another kid. That's what they're saying. She wanted to have the kid, but what happened to it? She wasn't. It's like her body wasn't able to have. So I guess, it is like a miscarriage. Her body wasn't able to really carry the baby. Too much. She was having too much stress. Like, it's like she was having, and then like she's having the baby under the wrong circumstances. It was a lot of emotional stress. Not enough sleeping, and then the girls being on tour. I'm hearing like this is the early 2000s. All right. I want to know what is her relationship like? What are her feelings towards Jay-Z? I mean, she feels like Jay-Z's a great financial provider, and she feels like he makes, like, she's like, if anything, he's stable, but he's very dominating, and he's demanding, and he and she, they have like mixed. There's like mixed feelings there. I'm not sure if she's grown. She's okay with him. It's like she has her ups and downs. Like, they have times where they get along. They have times where they don't. She's not fond of how he's. She's not fond of the fact that he outweighs his. Basically, if Beyonce wants to do something, Jay-Z wants to do something, Beyonce has to do what Jay-Z wants to do. Tina Knowles doesn't like seeing that, but she has to understand that she's watching her daughter do what she saw growing up. Okay, so Tina Knowles isn't fond of seeing the pathology play out, and Jay-Z is a perpetrator of that pathology that of men, men being, getting the fight on say so. She feels like Jay-Z could be more prayerful. She feels like he is, he definitely uses magic, but she doesn't feel like she feels like he uses magic, but he doesn't focus a lot on his own self-development. She feels like things come to him too late. Like, he doesn't work on things quickly enough. She's like, your revelations come late. You start working on yourself after we've told you what you need to work on. You never listened to us before. she feels like he has Beyonce digmatized. She's like, I know that my daughter, I know that is she knows good. She knows when somebody is in love because of the sex and they getting it's like Beyonce has this energy about her where she clings to whatever dude that she's with that dude, she's with that dude. If she's in love with that dude, she's not gonna fall out of love with him. She tries to force, she does everything to stay in love. She fights for love. And so she feels like Jay-Z uses his she feels like Jay-Z knows that. Like she knows that and he uses that to his advantage. He knows how far he can stretch Beyonce. The end. The end. Okay, now I want to know what is her relationship like with Richard Lawson? Tina Knowles Lawson. It's fresh. Like it's always fresh. It's always new for her. She never feels as though he's being self-destructive. She never feels like they're not working as a team. He's very nice. He's very nice, very sweet man. Very patient with her. He comes at her with his sword, like he never comes at her with his sword drawn. He's very sincerely attracted to her, very thankful for the amount of exposure that he's getting by dealing with her. She's very fussy. She's very fussy, and she's high maintenance. And she likes to be waited on hand and foot. She's very how can I say it? She's really particular about how she likes to be spoken to and how she likes to be treated. And she always and remember that Queen card came out, so she's always wanting him to nurture her, to pet her, can you give me a glass of water, baby? Sort of situation. I need to shuffle my cards because I'm halfway through the deck and I want to find out more about her and Richard Lawson. 1 second. Okay, well, she and Richard Lawson, they have a lot of sex. They have a lot of sex. They have a lot of sex with each other. It's Tina is the main aggressor. It's like has her libido rises when she's around him. They have a soulmate relationship with each other. Her ancestors brought her to him because her ancestors brought her to him because she needed to know, like she needed to choose him. She needed to choose the relationship. She would love to have a child by him. She wishes that she could, so she may reincarnate in another lifetime to do so. But then again, she may be initiated as a Iyanifa or as a high priestess, so she may not need to reincarnate and live that experience out. They're very compatible with each other emotionally, and she likes to spend money on him. She likes to buy him nice things. She's like, I want my man in this. Especially when she goes out shopping. That's her baby. Like that's her baby. That's how I hear it. That's her baby. they don't like to be apart from one another too long. Although I see like they're usually like when they're apart, it's international. She's usually in another country though. Um, yeah, he masturbates to her a lot. When they're not around, they have a very they're just very in love with each other. It's like a very young. It's like two young lovers with one another. She's definitely more youthful when she's with him. All right, I want to know how does she feel that she did as a mother? She feels like she could have been tougher on her children. She feels like she could have been more involved and she could have said more. She feels like her children resent like she feels like her children part of her children's is resentment towards her stems from the fact that she didn't speak up enough and she didn't step in and defend them. Like especially times when they were they were dead tired. She didn't say anything, or she just encouraged them to work through the tiredness. And that wasn't healthy. So they feel like she feels like she could have been a more independent thinker. She also feels like she could have divorced earlier. She feels like and this is what I hear, once Destiny's Child disbanded and everyone went on about doing solo things, she thinks that she could have divorced much earlier and saved herself a lot of heartbreak. And she also feels like because she stayed in the marriage, because she feels like because she stayed in the marriage and she was allowing like herself to get symbolically slapped in the face due to Matthew Knowles' infidelity, that she looks weak to them. She feels like she could have been an entrepreneur much sooner. She feels like she could have been an entrepreneur much sooner. And what I mean by this is that she would have I get this energy that she would have preferred to launch her own clothing line, independently much sooner. She feels like as a mother she wasn't. She feels like she was a damn good caretaker, but she was not a hustler. Like she's like, I didn't hustle like I needed to. Like a real mom would have been out here, collecting these dollars and getting these coins and putting them bottles in mouths. People had to be fed. She feels like she was under her husband's wing. Like she was almost signed to his label. But yes, everything is about. For her, she feels like she's just held on to things too long. And that set a bad example for her daughters. Okay. Wow. All right, so what's coming next for Tina Knowles? What's coming next for her? I get that she's going to have a small cameo in a TV show. That's what I'm saying. It's like a small cameo in a TV show. She wants to do more interviewing. Like she hasn't exactly figured out how she wants to get her name out there, but she wants to be known for something. She's thought about reality TV. She's a big fan of reality TV, but she's going to make a cameo on a TV show. Within about like 7 to 9 months from now. All right, you all know what that time is. I want to thank you all for tuning into The Reading, produced by Black Spectrum Network. Please go to www.blackspectrumnetwork.com to purchase a private psychic reading. If you can't get enough of my content, go to patreon.com/Black Spectrum Network. For as little as $2 a month, you can get these and other videos at least 1 week ahead of their YouTube release date. Please like this video, click the subscribe button, and leave us some feedback in the comments section. Before I go, I leave you with this quote from Iyanla Vanzant. The answer always lives in the same room as the question. You are the answer. I'm your reader, Nexo, and thank you for tuning in to The Reading.
So fuel my fire, take me higher, I'll be your liar too. Cause when we're here, there's nothing better than the skyline